We will discuss about CCE, which is very, very important for you all, because when you go and work, whether it is CBSE curriculum or state board curriculum or any other, you need to, check about the evaluation part. So continuous comprehensive evaluation plays a major or important role when you evaluate the children. You need to evaluate the children continuously, comprehensively, to track the progress and understand the strength and weaknesses of the child. So we will see what is this CCE, why it is important, what is objective, and what kind of CCE models we will be using in the school, or how we use that. So, first of all, we need to understand what is continuous and comprehensive evaluation. See, as the name indicate, it's very, very simple. As the name indicate, continuous comprehensive evaluation refers to a system of school-based evaluation. This is available in the schools. You would have seen, if your kids are studying, or if you have worked in the school, they follow CCE portal. So in that portal, you will have a lot of different subjects, including co-curricular activities. So that is called school-based system, where you will be evaluating the students, okay, students development, students achievements. So that all data will be accumulated and monitored um, continuously from starting point to end point, how much the child has achieved, and based on that, then the progress card, the report card is evaluated or made. So it is nothing but the evaluation of different subjects. So it is a developmental process of assessment which emphasizes on two folds of objective. There are two objectives of this CCE model which we need to understand. One is continuity in evaluation and assessment of broad-based learning and behavior outcome. Now here you can see continuity in evaluation. Until unless we evaluate the child term wise, when you go in the school, you see you have a periodic test, you have a unit test, you have a formative assessments. So these are all evaluations and assessments based on the topic taught, and you know um, it depends upon the curriculum which is designed, and what is the outcome of that particular you know objective which you have selected for the uh, for the formative assessment, or the or that particular time. So that's why it is very, very important to understand the CCE model. And let us move to the next. Understanding the terms. Let us understand the term which is called continuous. Now, what is continuous? See, it is very simple. It meant to emphasize that evaluation of identified aspects of student. That means the growth and development, whatever you select, whatever the objective you select, is a continuous process. It should not be like an, okay, it's an event and finished. No, it should be a continuous process. Continuous means from starting till end, whatever the objective you take, whatever the uh, you know task you take, that should be continuous, that should be continuously evaluated, so that you can build the learning process, so that entire development is taken place in the child. It's not only in the motor skills or in the any developmental, but we're talking about the academic. So it should be in the academic sessions. For example, like regularity of assessment, then frequency of unit testing. This is all how you do the continuous assessment, right? Just now we have discussed this. So there should be a regular assessment, whatever the objective you take. There should be a frequency of unit test. It might be after the end of the unit, or it might be the end of the class, something like that. Once you finish that, you need to assess it. You should not you know wait. Okay, I will be waiting 1 month, and then I will be giving with the test. So there should be a continuity to evaluate the child's need or the objective which you have selected. Then you have a diagnosis of learning gaps. There will be a lot of students who will face a difficulty. Like, for example, when you take the test, there will be a lot of gaps. There will be no connectivity between the objective to and the objective, or what objective they write in the paper they may not understand. So you can rectify that. That means it is nothing but a diagnosis of your objective, whether the child has learned, whether the child has a gap in the objective which I have taught. So that you need to understand. And the fourth one is retesting. That means you need to test again. If the child is not able to achieve the target, you need to test again. So continuous helps you to understand the child's ability, the child's strength, the child's weaknesses, so that you can rectify those objectives that the child have not achieved. So you need to understand this. It's very important. That's why this CCE plays a major role in growth and development of the child. That's why they said it's not an event, it's a continuous process. It is a continuous process in the evaluation of the objectives, on the evaluation of growth and development of the child. Okay. Now, next one is your comprehensive. So here you can see a knowledge, understanding, comprehension, applying or analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So this is your according to Bloom taxonomy. So you have a sixth level where the child has to achieve. Okay, so it means that the scheme here, the scheme is CCE. I'm just reflecting as a scheme because as per CBSE, CCE, they say it is a scheme. So this scheme attempts to cover the scholastic and co-scholastic aspects of students' growth and development. We will discuss what is co-scholastic and scholastic. Now here, as I said as you can see, knowledge to creativity level, it is based on the Bloom taxonomy. So it's our responsibility to make sure that you are not missing any of the level. You are starting from the knowledge and ending with the creativity level. You need to understand where your child stands, whether it is my child stands at applying stage or analyzing stage, or he is at creativity stage. So comprehensive means you should involve all the things like abilities, attitude, aptitudes, which helps them in the form of it can be in the form of written words, or it's like an overall development. So here the responsibility is like you should be understanding the child's ability via testing as well as non-testing. You must understand the child via quantitative as well as qualitative way. So the main aim of this comprehensive is nothing but assessing the learner developments in the area which we have discussed, like from 1 to 6. So this is like what it looked like. So as I said, this is a part of Bloom taxonomy which we need to understand. Okay. So this is a comprehensive. That means overall skills you need to consider when you plan, when you teach, or when you evaluate. Okay. So now let us move to the objective. Objective of the scheme, that is CCE. So first one is to help to develop a cognitive, psychomotor, and affective skills. Now, as with the help of continuous comprehensive evaluation, it helps all the teacher to understand and also to develop the child's cognitively, the psychological and motor level of the child, and effectiveness interpersonal relationships between the child. Okay, which is very affection, which is very very important. So CCE will tell you where your child stands and from where you need to stand. So that's why CCE models, CCE portal, or CCE modalities, it is important in almost all the schools. Now I think it's almost all the schools, they are using these CCE models. It also helps to lay the emphasis or on the thought process and de-emphasizes on memorization. See, it's not only teaching the stuff, memorizing and writing. It also stimulates the thought process of the child. As I said, uh, Bloom taxonomy. So all six level has to be undertaken so that the child develops the um, what is a personality. So this CCE model help you to understand whether the child is going to that particular level or not. So it also emphasizes on the thought process. It stimulates the thought process of the child rather than just memorizing the answers or the objective which you are teaching. It also helps to make evaluation as an integral part of teaching learning process. Earlier, we always used to neglect. We used to teach and just leave the class. But now it's not like that. While teaching and learning process, you also evaluate the child whether he is getting you, whether he's understanding your instruction, whether he is understanding your the conversation. This you all involve in the CCE. That's why they are telling you understanding level, analyzing level, where the child is at creating level. So this is all how it is integrated in teaching and learning process. To use evaluation for improvement of students' achievement. This is the main aim of or objective of CCE. Improvement of students' achievement and teaching learning strategy. As we have discussed already, each individual has a different learning style. They have their own ways. So that makes you to understand that CCE helps you to improve your students' achievement, diagnose those teaching and learning strategies, identify the best teaching and learning strategies for your child, and then so that it can be remediated, so that it can be taught to the students. No, this is how you're going to learn. This is how this strategy may help you all. So this helps you to understand the strength. It also helps to use evaluation as a quality control device, you know, to measure the performance or to maintain the desired standard. No, in the first term you were at 20% and then you have achieved 80%. So it also tells you that where your child was and now where my child is at present. So this is also very very important objective of this game. It helps to determine a social utility, desirability, or effectiveness of the program. Whatever the program you select, it unites the student. It will be very effective based on the desire of the objective you decided, and also in the later they take an appropriate decision. um, so the teacher take an appropriate decision about your students, about the learners, which is very, very important. So now you can see CCE has a great impact in developing, the child's personality, in developing, or it helps you in teaching and learning process. It also helps to improve the learning environment of the child. To say the classroom environment. So that's why it is very, very important. And the last one is like to make the process of teaching and learning a learner center activity. Always you remember your teaching philosophy must be child center. That means the learner center, because you know it tells you like when to start, it tells you what to start, it tells you how to deal with it. So always your teaching philosophy, when you enter into the classroom, you must think over, let us understand the child's need, then you plan. So that is your learner center activity or student center activity that will help you to understand. So CCE will tell you all these things. CCE will tell you where my child stands. CCE will tell you, how it helps in your teaching and learning process. So this is about the objective. Now let us move to the features of continuous and comprehensive evaluation. As you can see here, you have a five um, features, the main features of CCE. The first one is your continuous aspects of CCE. You know, it takes care about the continuity and periodicity, as we have discussed that continuous should be like a periodic test, it should be like a formative test, it can be a unit test. So it should be a continuous. That is the main feature. Then the continual, here it means assessment of the student in the beginning of the instruction. Before starting, before placing for the evaluation, you try to do the assessment. And the assessment during the instructional process, that means in the middle, and like is your formative evaluation. And at the last, it might be a periodicity, it might be a periodic, which means a summative assessment. So continuous, starting, middle, and at last. So that is how the CCE works. So the comprehensive component of CCE also take care of assessment of all round development of child's personality. It includes the assessment of scholastic as well as co-scholastic. As I said, we will discuss that in coming slides. So which is very, very, and it's very simple: scholastic curriculum and co-scholastic co-curricular activity. So comprehensive means overall development, all the subjects. Continuous, it should be the time bond, in the time range of the evaluation. Here, as you can see, the scholastic is nothing but curricular area, which I suggest now, a subject specific area, or co-curricular activities. So you need to just keep in your mind about a Bloom taxonomy, now which we have discussed a while ago. Like from knowledge to creativity level, you need to check where my child stands. Okay, so that is very, very important. That is your comprehensive. Now, this is the main feature. This is the main feature which you need to remember, and it's not so, you know, rocket science that you cannot understand. This is very simple and easy to understand. Now let us move to the important functions of continuous and comprehensive evaluation. See, it helps the teacher to organize the effective teaching strategy. As I said, in the objectives, the features is quite simple. Okay, so it helps the teacher to organize the effect. If it's not only the student, it's not only the, even the parents, it also about the teacher. It tells the teacher whether my strategy is working or not. So it helps the teacher to organize the effectiveness of her or his teaching strategy. So continuous evaluation helps in a regular assessment to the extent and the degree of learner progress. That means the ability and achievement with reference to specific scholastic and co-scholastic. So, you know, in the form of regular assessment. So you need to understand that the learner, what level the learner progress has been, achieved, or it is yet to achieve. So that ability and achievement will be measured by CCE, and the continuous evaluation serves to it serves to diagnose the weaknesses and help the teacher to understand the child's or learner's strength so that he can modify the strategy, the content, the objective, can give a immediate feedback so that it can be rectified, or it can be retaught, or it can be remediated for few individuals, especially like children with intellectual disability or some special need children. Okay, so that all will help to understand uh, by CCE. So this was the important function of continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Let us see the fourth one. See, by continuous evaluation, children can know their strengths and weaknesses. That's for sure. It also provides the child realistic self-assessment of how he or she studies. It also motivates the children to develop the good study skills, good study habit, good learning style. If there is any error, it can be corrected. What kind of goal I need to achieve. That will also help the child to understand whether, he has to move forward or not. The fifth one is like your continuous and comprehensive evaluation identifies the interest of the child, the aptitude, whether the child is interested in this area, whether the child is interested in this area. So that all will help the child to understand, to identify, the attitude, the values of the system. It also helps in making the decision for future regarding the choice of the subject, the course, the careers, where the child wants to go, in which field, that will help the child. See, CCE, it will tell you very clearly whether, this is your strength, whether in the science or mathematics or any other, subjects, which in future the child tries to take those subjects as a career. It provides the information or reports on the progress of the student in scholastic and co-scholastic area. As I said, in both the areas, it helps the child to select, in the future success, because some student might be good in the sports, some student might be good in the mathematics. So that will help the child to understand, in which area he or she has to or supposed to go. So let us see now what is scholastic assessment. It's very simple to understand. Now here you can see a scholastic assessment. Now scholastic assessment it refers like, oral questions. Or first of all, scholastic, you need to understand scholastic is nothing but your subjects, curricular, which we have already discussed. Curriculars, it might be a science, mathematics, English, or any other subjects. So we are talking about the evaluation. Okay, so we are going to focus on that. So evaluation is equal to assessment. Evaluation or assessment is equal to evaluation. Assessment or evaluation is quite similar. So how the scholastic assessment can be done? It can be done, in the base of oral questioning, or assignments. If you give some assignment, or you decide to do some conversation skills, you try to talk the children, and you try to understand the strength and weaknesses. You also try to give some research work, or you arrange some quiz based on the objective which you select. Okay, so based on the objective which you select, you try to evaluate, you try to assess. See, this scholastic means in the subjects, of the subjects. Okay, so this is all which you need to understand how it gets assessments. Okay, and also with the projects, you give some sort of project to the children, and then you assess. It might be an English project, it might be a social, it might be a mathematics or science, or any experiments. Okay, so this is all, this scholastic can be done in the formative assessment, as well as in the, you know summative assessment. So this all modalities like oral questions, assignments, projects, quiz, this can be done in the form of formative assessment, because this kind of questions you you give at the end of the unit test, or sorry, at the end of the unit, or at the end of the class, or you give some time of 1 week to prepare the projects. That is all your formative assessment. In the broader way, the scholastic assessment can also be done in the summative way. You have a summative assessments at the end of the year. So how this summative assessment look like you give a MCQ questions, that is multiple choice question at the end. It might be 100, and based on that which you have done, based on that, that is based on the formative assessments. Okay, it might be, whatever the activity you have given, whether the quiz, project, research, based on that you're going to prepare MCQ. You can prepare a short answers or a long answers. So these are the summative assessment modalities or method which you give to the children at the end of the year, or end of the term. So this is how you do the scholastic assessments, and it should be very flexible, and it might be a written end or term. So as I said, at the end of the term, there should be some flexibility in that for children with special needs. So this flowchart is given by CBSE, which we need to understand. So this is their modality. This is how they follow. So this is about the scholastic. Now let us see about co-scholastic. Now, the co-scholastic, other than, subjects, other than your regular subjects like English, mathematics, science, geography, history. So in these, what kind of subjects are involved? Like your life skills. Then you have some skills like thinking, you know, which involves your creative, critical problem solving, decision making, and then you have your co-curricular activities. Co-scholastic assessment is not only the co-curricular activities. It talks about the life skill, the ten life skills which you have: interpersonal communication, problem solving, decision. This is how it involves. Okay, even the thinking skills, sometime you give some sort of quiz or competition or any other, you know um, what do you say, projects to understand. Based on that, you try to evaluate the things. Co-curricular activity. Apart from that, you have a creative and literary activities. Now here you need to understand. See, this is um, co-scholastic assessment. It plays a major role in you know developing the overall personality of the child. Okay, it's not just where you need to uh, teach and just leave it up. It's not like that. It develops. So co-curricular activity is also very very important to understand. Okay. um, then the next one is your, it's like a statistic activity. Now what do you mean by this? With, you would have experience about the you know the development activities during the kindergarten. So in this, basically what happens, so first of all you need to understand what are the test skills. It is based on the you know art, I think. Yeah, it is like artistic activities which you need to understand. So some students might be good in the activity, art activity, so you need to consider that. You may have a different clubs in the school where your child is interested and placed in that particular area. So in that way also it can be evaluated. The scholastic can be evaluated. Okay. Then you have a scientific, which means it should be very clear scientific experimentation based on that. And you have the clubs, which I said, it might be eco club activities or health clubs or any other clubs. You can just check it out whether how the child is performing in that particular clubs. Then you have a value attitudes towards the teacher, the students, school program and environment. This is also have a marks, in the schools, how the teacher, how the student is behaving with the teacher, the students. This is all how it is evaluated. And most of the time this is directly given to the directly the teacher gives the marks and update in the CCE portal. And apart from that, you have emotional skills, like dealing with the emotions, dealing with the stress, self-awareness, how the student participate. And the last one is your social skills, which is very, very important. Social skills is very, very important to, uh, you know, to build the relationship, to build the interpersonal relationship, or this is how you make the child to interact with the others. So it's not only the scholastic assessment, but also the scholastic helps the child in the overall development. So this is all your, you know, overview of CCE. When you actually work on CCE, then you will understand, you will have a lot of input which you have to enter different subjects wherein to enter. Let us say, for example, if it is English, then out of 100 how many marks you have to enter. Here we no need to discuss, just we need to understand what is CCE. When you go to the school, if you're working in the regular school, then you will understand the portal. It will be given different password. Each teacher will have a different password, and you need to log in and you have to update the marks of your subject. Okay, both in co-curricular and curricular activities. Okay, so this is how the CCE look likes in detail. You can just um, you will understand when you go to the school in the real setup when you work there. So I think that's it about CCE. So